baby.
Oh, hang on. Straight left, drop the peach. He moves in. He can smell blood. Oh, Wilson says bring it on.
Get up, get up.
Oh, look at this, folks. He's moving in, Rick. Oh, hang on. He's caught Cole with the right hand. He moves in. He can smell blood.
Well, welcome along to the program in the red corner. Tonight we've got some action from the ABA, which is the Auckland Boxing Association. They held a fight night on 22nd of September, and Red Corner was fortunate enough to go overseas and film this night, and we're going to bring you the action. For those looking for Chris McCullen's fight, that will be coming up soon. We've just had to reschedule that night. On screen now you can see Richard Mason. He's in the black trunks and the white piping, and he's going to fight Sonny Schwalga. But before Sonny comes to the ring, I'd like to welcome Glenn Azar to the announce team. How are you, Glenn?
I'm great, mate. Great. Good to be here.
Glenn's going to fill in tonight for Mark Chopper Burgess, who's still recovering after the Melbourne Storm loss. Commiserations to Chopper and his great efforts with the Melbourne team, but unfortunately just not good enough with the Broncos getting the victory. Glenn, we've got two debutants tonight in Sonny Schwalga and Richard Mason. What do you suggest for debutants when they're for their first fight?
I think it's always important for them to get through the nerves of their first pro fight, so just feel each other out for the first round and see what they offer.
Gary McChrystal about to give them their instructions.
Very
Let's listen in.
Nice clean fight, please. When I tell you to stop, I want you to stop straight away. When I tell you to break, take a step backwards. All right? Protect yourselves at all times. Good luck to both of you. Touch gloves and go back to your corner.
Mason's very heavily muscled, quite a big boy, and just looks like Sonny's carrying a little bit extra weight.
Obviously the 3-2s will suit the guys with the carrying a little bit extra.
Yeah, the bigger boys get tired fairly quickly, and especially once they start to let the big punches go.
These two definitely look mean enough, Glenn.
Yeah, they've got that look in the eye. We're going to run into them in a pub. So 3-2s is a good start for the pros because it's the same as they would have been fighting in the amateurs.
Schwalga has dropped Mason in about the first 30 seconds.
Tried to throw extra on him while he was on the ground.
Do they score that punch while they're lying on the ground?
It was accidental, ref.
7. 8. You all right? Yeah, okay.
The crowd not really into that punch, so they're still very quiet.
Crowd's been caught napping.
How does that change Mason's game plan now? 3-2s, he's obviously been knocked down once, and he's well and truly behind the 8 ball.
It was very important in a 3-round fight not to lose rounds at all. And obviously, now he's down 10-8 in this round so far. He really needs to come back strong to try and take that back. Schwalga's looking very, very relaxed now, maybe even a little bit overconfident.
Two very completely different defensive styles here. Mason with the hands held high and Schwalga with the hands down around his belly button.
Mason just tends to put the chin up though when he does let his punches go, which can be a little bit dangerous at this weight division in particular. He's very, very hesitant to let the punches go now.
Seems to be a bit of a Mexican standoff happening here. There's a fight on, but nothing's happening.
Guys, get it together, okay? Too much fooling around, all right? We're in a boxing match, not a play.
Gary McChrystal's seen enough of the shadow boxing. He's asked the boys to punch on.
Yeah, they're being paid for this. They've got to perform.
And they are about to.
Stop! 1.
Mason evens up the ledger.
3.
Scoring.
Almost looked like he might have even sort of pushed him down there towards the end, got the hand on the back of the head. I don't think it was a real serious knockdown.
It seemed funny for him to fall on his belly like that. It wasn't a...
Yeah, like didn't seem like a real solid knockdown. Seems to be all right.
That's the end of round 1. Obviously with the 2 knockdowns. Glenn, how would you score that, mate?
I think you have no choice but to score it evenly. There weren't a lot of punches thrown in between the knockdowns, and so I think it's really got to be a 10-10 round.
The 2-minute rounds, what does that do for the approach? How does that change things for you?
Well, it just gives them a chance to work more. In theory, they should be working a little bit harder because they know that they've got a 4-minute break. They've only got 2 minutes to work, and it's the same distance they're fighting in the amateurs before they've turned pro, so they should be used to this distance.
Both of these guys making their pro debut here tonight. This night was promoted by Heartland Boxing. who are great supporters of Muhammad Azoui and also Peter Karaoke, and this night was the feature of those two guys in their pursuits of world titles, and hopefully in the coming months we may see a world title shot for Muhammad Azoui and also Peter Karaoke. And Red Corner may be there to film it for you and bring you all the action.
So Schwalga just standing between the rounds there, so he's not too worried about his fitness.
Stop!
Gary McChrystal just calling a stop to the action, making sure everything's fine with the ring. I think the seat was still in. As we head into round 2, Mason in the black trunks, Schwalga in the red trunks look a bit like board shorts.
So Mason's got that right hand cocked, and I think he needs to let it go. It's there, it's ready, but he's just not willing to throw it at the moment.
A very hesitant fight at the moment.
Schwalga, on the other hand, seems relaxed, but he also seems to be not willing to put too much work in, a lot of posturing.
When they let him go, though, mate.
Yeah, there's not too many straight punches in there. They're winding them up.
Have you ever trained a heavyweight, Glenn?
No, I haven't actually. I was stuck with the lighter weight fighters, sort of welterweights and below, which is obviously a very different approach to these big boys. Neither of these boys seem to want to throw straight punches when they do throw, so you'd sort of think they wouldn't have too many amateur fights under their belt.
The action picks up there at a fast rate of knots.
Mason looks to get a little bit hurt in that sort of exchange there, that last exchange.
Mason almost sprinting in to re-engage the action. Bit of blood on Mason's, coming out of Mason's either lip or nose. Schwalga covers up and comes back with a big right hand.
He was a little bit tired there, I think. He just thought he'd try and take a few, but once he got that body shot in, he had to back Mason off. And that's just that little bit extra weight he's carrying around the belly. You know, at this weight, is not real good for him. He does look the more experienced of the two fighters, the more relaxed.
I think both of these boys will be happy to hear the bell for this round.
Yeah, there's not too much action in it, just in spurts.
Steve, last round.
Here we go for our third and final round. Richard Mason in the black trunks, Schwalga in the red trunks, with a big tattoo across his back.
I think this fight's really in the balance. Either bloke could come home and take this if they put the work in.
We're back to the standoff again. Neither fighter really wanting to take the initiative, waiting for the other to make a move.
I think Mason's been hurt a few times and that's his reason, but I think with Schwalga it's just conditioning is holding him back.
Schwalga is definitely landing the cleaner, harder punches as he turns his back and nearly cops one for his troubles.
He's the New Zealand Muhammad Ali.
At this point, would the guys be thinking, why did I make my debut? Why am I in here?
Probably thinking, wondering why they didn't train a little bit harder. Looks like Mason's cut on that right eye as well now. The ref might have to talk to him again soon.
This is probably just their inexperience showing here. The fight is up for the grabs and neither of them wants to take the
Come on, let's go, guys.
Take the game up.
And the ref's just, told them to pick it up again, and I think just one of them needs to grit the teeth and bite down the mouth guard a bit and have a go here.
Gary McChrystal might throw one in a minute, just to start something.
Could be a chance of winning it too. So a bit of hand slapping going on at the moment. Schwalga walked into a left hook that time.
When they engage in action, it's entertaining, but at this moment, the boys have seemed to lull themselves into a sleep.
It only lasts for a few seconds, that's a problem. Yeah, very hard fight to score that over 3 rounds, and you'd have to think neither bloke really did enough to take the fight. But obviously there has to be a winner and a loser.
Judge number 1 scores the fight 30-29 in favour of the blue corner.
One judge favours Schwalga.
Judge number 2 scores the fight 29-28 in favour of the red corner. And the third judge, Boxing Commissioner Ivan Zonic, has scored the fight 30-30. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a draw.
Well, there we go, Glenn, a draw, which probably seems fitting for those two boys.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think either bloke did enough to really say they took that fight, so they couldn't be too disappointed with it.
So technically a split draw. We'll be back after this. We're going to take a short break and we'll bring you Harry Venka versus Sam Letai. Well, welcome back to the program. Brian Kerwin here with Glenn Azar. We're calling tonight's fights. Obviously, Harry Venka is not a native Kiwi, originally from India. He's moved over to New Zealand and Auckland to train with John Glosia and to pursue a professional career. Similar to Pradeep Singh, Glenn, and Pradeep's gone all right down in Melbourne, hasn't he, for Murray Thompson?
He has, yeah. Pradeep's a very well-schooled amateur, and I think that showed in his pro debuts and fights he's had since. And he seems to step up very well with every fight. He's been tested with all different levels, and yeah, very, very good boy.
Now, you're holding the stats there for these two fighters. What can you tell us about either fighter?
So both making their pro debut tonight, so we don't have a lot on their amateur background, but there's a 10-year age difference, which could be quite telling. Harry Venka is 24 and Sam Falente is 34.
Okay, gentlemen.
So it's a very late pro debut for Sam.
I want you to stop straight away.
Maybe Sam's had a fair bit more amateur experience, but obviously with the Indian background, Harry Venka would have had an established amateur background as well. So the boys showing their skills at the Commonwealth Games this year. The Indians performed very well for it as a team.
Yeah, they have a very good, strong amateur background like a lot of those countries do. They get a lot more competition than our boys in Australia get. Sam looks very fit for his age, for a 34-year-old, but Harry's a very tall boy for a light middleweight.
He looks to be close to 6 foot, if not over 6 foot, I'd say. Which would have to be an advantage, Glenn?
Well, you'd think so, and Sam would have to try and get in and crouch down and try and get inside that reach all the time, and when he's there, he's really got to try and do some work. But at the moment, Harry's just picking him off as he comes in and managing to avoid most of the shots that come at him.
He seems very light on his feet, Harry Venka. Seems to have a lot of bounce in his action. Is that something you'd encourage, Glenn, or would you try and take it away from him? Or?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of people that bounce around too much. I think it's good, maybe over 4 rounds it's not such a big deal, but certainly as he gets into his pro career a little bit further and he's fighting 8 and 10 rounds, he can certainly burn a lot of energy. It's good to be light on his feet and be able to move, but just not so much with the bouncing motions. He's a very awkward-looking fighter, Harry. He's very obviously rangy. He throws a lot of rounded punches. A little bit unorthodox in his approach. There's a nice little counter right from Vanker there.
Vanker in the early stages seems to be the more classier of the two.
He's just picking him off a little bit at the moment with those shots, and Falente just doesn't seem to be moving. He needs a little bit of movement from the waist, slip in side to side. At the moment, it's almost like he's waiting for his turn to throw a punch, and with someone this tall, that's going to be very hard.
Nice 3 and 4 punch combination there from Vanker.
I was just thinking, Vanker throws a lot of punches. He goes to the body end, to the head.
He seems to finish each punch in a position to throw another favourable punch. Is that something that you can learn? Is that a skill that you just acquire?
Yeah, I think that's a skill that you acquire with a good amateur background. It's something that all good trainers should be teaching their fighters, that they always should be in a position to punch again. And Venker's showing that very well. He's landing 3 or 4 shots, pausing for a second. If there's another one there, he lets that go as well. Certainly towards the end of that round, he was outlanding 4-1 against Falente, so a very comfortable round for Venker.
Standing during the round break, he's obviously well conditioned and fit enough.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be breathing too heavy. He looks quite relaxed. I'd say he's even enjoying himself out there, whereas in the corner here with Falente, he looks a little bit tired already, and he's just not quite sure what he needs to do.
How does he come out of this situation? He's obviously in against a taller, faster boxer.
I think he's got to have a very strong defence. He needs have those hands in nice and tight and get in really close to the chest of Vanker, and
Stop. Time.
just waiting for the corner to get out again. Yeah, I think he needs to look at videos of our own Australian champion Chris McCullen, and that sort of defensive style would be very effective here. But he just holds his arms out a little bit wide and gets picked off. He's a little bit too squared up for my liking there against a taller opponent. And when he does come in, he lunges in, and that's where he just got caught off balance there.
Box.
His glove may have just touched the canvas there. Gary McChrystal just giving it a quick wipe down. Obviously you don't want any foreign objects on the gloves in case of a cut. Professional boxing, a cut can mean so much to a fight. Very good refereeing.
And the last thing they want is boys making pro debuts to get cut in their first fight, because you do tend to get recut on scar tissue. Well, there's two beautiful right hands by Vanker there, where he counted just nicely. And another one. Certainly found a home for that overhand right.
It's amazing. Both boys weighed in at 69 kilos flat, and there's such a size difference between the two.
Also, Falente's in very good shape. He's just very hesitant to let the punches go at the moment. Went a bit low there, but I think, that's just Vanker's height. I don't think there was any malice behind that.
Harry Venka, of course, has come over from India and would have been trying to impress his new trainer and new coach, John Glosier, to no end tonight. So he'd have taken this fight very seriously.
Yeah, he's been brought in, and obviously they've got high hopes for him, but you need to perform. Otherwise, there's plenty of other fighters out there that you can spend your time on.
Do you think he's got another gear to go to, Glenn?
Well, I think he has. He looks to me to be fighting quite comfortably within himself, and I think that's a smart move for your first pro fight. He's in control. He doesn't need to make silly mistakes. He's certainly not being pushed too hard here now. He's got Falente really at odds with what to do.
Well, that's the end of the second. And judging by your comments, I'd say you've given another round to Harry Venka.
Yeah, I don't think there could be any doubt there. It was a very comfortable round. He's, again, picked off his shots quite well. Didn't throw as many that round, but I would have to guess that he landed a much higher percentage still. You can see Falente there just doesn't look very comfortable in the corner. He's not quite sure. He's got two or three people talking to him. And you look at the opposing corner here, and they're all smiles and relaxed. They know they've got control of this fight at the moment.
The Auckland Boxing Association was the venue for this night of fights. It was promoted by Heartland Boxing, and this is the undercard to what was a unification bout for the Pan-Asian Boxing Association and the Pan-African Boxing Association cruiserweight titles. Muhammad Azoui versus Alori Mensah. We're going to bring you that fight in the coming weeks.
Time.
Gary McChrystal has spotted, actually on advice from Harry Venka, has spotted something foreign in the ring. Not too sure what that is. It's his mouth guard. Must have fallen out as he's posing for a photo or something.
Box.
So I think the plan of attack for Vanker here is much the same. Just stay nice and relaxed. Don't do anything silly. Just work on the things his corner's told him about. Falente, on the other hand, really has to try and force the action. He has no choice now. He's already down 2 rounds in a 4-round fight. So he has to take a few risks here.
Now, coming up for Brisbane boxing fans, we've got Oktoberfest at the Broncos Leagues Club. It's Friday, 13th of October, and we're featuring 4 pro fights and 4 or 5 no rules XFC fights. It's going to be a fantastic night of action. Hopefully, Glenn, you can be there, ringside.
I'll definitely
enjoying
be there.
The night.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. There's a few action-packed fights on that. I've not been to the XFC live, so I'm quite looking forward to it.
What we tried to do was combine the beer and the biff, and we thought around October, there's nothing better than to call it Oktoberfest. As Harry Venka starts to unload on poor Sam Falente.
He really caught Falente flat-footed there, and that right hand right down the centre knocked him back 2 or 3 feet. You can just see in the eyes of Falente now he's starting to get a little bit disheartened. He knows that he doesn't quite have the tools to handle this guy. And it's a very awkward opponent for your first opponent. Someone so tall, obviously well schooled as an amateur.
And he definitely would have been coming in blind because no one would have seen anything of Vanker before he stepped foot on shore of the great North Island of New Zealand in Auckland.
Come on, break it up. Just watch the heads, all right? Okay.
Now Vanker to me looks very much to be in second gear. He's very relaxed. I think if pushed he could certainly go a lot harder, and there are a lot of things that he'll take away from this fight. He can certainly work on his defence a little bit more. Whilst it hasn't been tested here, he's very loose in the arms, but seems to have a very good eye. He moves his head well, he avoids punches that way. Still standing in between rounds, still feeling very fit obviously.
At the end of round 3, so just to finalise your scorecards, mate, how have you got it?
Look, I'd still have the 3 rounds going to Vanker, so I'd have it 30-27. There hasn't been too much coming from Falente really since that first round. That third round in particular was his lowest punch output. But he needs to really get a fire under him now. His only chance is to win by knockout, and it just doesn't look like that's going to happen at this stage because he's not catching Vanker. He does, to me, look disheartened. And I think at this stage it's just about getting through this last round and deciding if this is the professional career he wants to follow, and if so, what improvements he can make.
Second round, the fourth and final round.
It's a fourth and final round coming up. Very important for Vanker here to keep control, stay out of trouble, not do anything silly and take risks, because one punch can change a fight.
Box.
Do you think he would be looking to just get this round out of the way and step out of the ring unhurt, or does he want to flick the switch and turn it up a bit? How does he want to approach this round, Glenn?
Well, my advice to him in the corner would be that Falente needs this round and he needs it big. It's his only chance, so he's going to come out hard. So yeah, I would ask him to be controlled, be relaxed, stay out of danger, just win on points and get that first fight under his belt so he knows what it feels like.
Obviously based in New Zealand now, Harry Venka, there will be some opportunities for him to fight on Australian shores. Who's out there, mate? Who's a possibility? Where would he go? What stepping stones does he take?
Well, I think there's quite a few fights out there for him. My plan would be for him to fight a few of his local fights just to sneak up, not get seen too much, and then to sort of jump into Australia. But there's quite a few good middleweights and light middleweights around for him, and even they tell me he can make welterweight, so he'd be a very, very tall welterweight. So I think there's a few good fights out there for him. And
so we haven't helped his chances by broadcasting his fight over Brisbane, Adelaide and Melbourne.
There's still some boys who would probably test him more than Falente. We've got some good fighters in Queensland alone. We've got Paul Tapley at welterweight, light middleweight, Matt Burns, and a few of those boys around who I think could step up and give him a challenge. But he'd be a very hard man to beat. He's very confident in this round. His punches have improved as the rounds have gone on.
Take the step back.
He's switched up his stance. He's crossed his arms over.
Yeah, he's very, very relaxed. He's very, very relaxed. He's just enjoying himself now. That was a beautiful right hand there.
I think this is that second and third gear that we spoke about, and Vanker seems to be lighting the fuse on poor Sam Falente.
I think Sam's just looking forward to getting through this fight now, and that's what it's all about for him. It's not really about trying to win it. As Vanker turns to southpaw there. He's so relaxed that he's got his hands down on the hips even. He knows there's nothing coming back at him. Another very, very comfortable round, probably his strongest round. There's no way that you would give any of those rounds to Falente.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, judge number 1 scores the fight 40-36. Judge number 2 scores the fight 40-35. And judge number 3 scores the fight 40-36. By way of unanimous decision to the red corner,
Harry Venka picks up his a unanimous decision, his first victory in the pro ranks, and one judge did give that last round as a 10-8.
Thank you very much for joining us this week, and next week be sure to be watching In the Red Corner, and also don't forget Oktoberfest coming up Friday the 13th of October, Broncos Leagues Club. Tickets from the club. Go to redcorner.com.au for all the information. I'll see you at the fights.